The unusual details surrounding the July 13, 2024 assassination attempt on former President Donald Trump continue to emerge. Despite ongoing revelations, the situation remains puzzling, leaving more questions than answers about what truly transpired. Several attendees at the Butler, Pennsylvania rally reported seeing the alleged shooter, Thomas Matthew Crooks, crawling on the rooftop as he prepared to take aim, according to various news outlets.
I'm standing there pointing at him for 2 or 3 minutes. Secret Service is looking at us from the top of the barn. I'm pointing at that roof.
Witness Greg Smith told the BBC that Crooks likely went unnoticed by Secret Service agents due to the roof's slope. Another observer told CBS News they saw Crooks moving across rooftops from one building to another and alerted law enforcement. Multiple other witnesses shared similar accounts, reinforcing the story of Crooks' rooftop movements during the incident.
A guy beside me looks over and he said, he has a gun. He has a gun.
Given that many rally attendees reportedly spotted the shooter before the attack, questions have arisen about why the Secret Service and local police didn't intervene sooner. Trump's stage was positioned near 3 adjacent buildings with sloped, triangular roofs, offering potential high-ground vantage points. Additionally, there was a smaller building nearby and a larger factory past a tree line. The roof of the AGR International Building, roughly 150 yards away, though the farthest, was well within range for an accurate shot with the AR-style rifle Crooks used. So, why was no one stationed there? The Secret Service is now reportedly investigating this very question, according to ABC News. Crooks, dressed in grey camouflage, remained motionless after positioning himself. Once he fired several rounds, the Secret Service counter-sniper team, positioned on different rooftops, neutralized him. However, these agents were also quite far from his location. This raises questions about why no agents were stationed on the AGR building's roof, which could have provided a better line of sight to prevent the attack. As a former Secret Service agent told NBC News, someone should have been on the roof or securing the building so no one could get on the roof. Officials confirmed that many recognized the AGR building as a potential security risk, but responsibility for securing it remains unclear. Sources told NBC News that while the Secret Service flagged the building as a concern, they left it to local police to handle. However, Butler County District Attorney Richard Goldinger disputed this, adding to the confusion surrounding who was ultimately accountable for ensuring the building was secured during the event. The Secret Service ran the show. They were the ones who designated who did what. To me, the whole thing is under the jurisdiction of the Secret Service.
I would have expected that they would have had that building secured.
Days after the shooting, no definitive answers emerged regarding how Crooks accessed the roof or why the building was excluded from the Secret Service's secured perimeter. Secret Service Director Kimberly Cheetle, in an interview with ABC News, admitted that several buildings in the surrounding area had been delegated to local law enforcement for security. She acknowledged the challenges of securing all nearby structures, but emphasized the need for thorough coordination between agencies in high-risk situations like this one.
The Secret Service is responsible for the protection of the former president.
Kimberly Cheetle confirmed that local police were responsible for securing the AGR building. She explained to ABC News why no officers were stationed on the roof, stating that certain logistical challenges and miscommunication may have contributed to the oversight during the event's security planning. That building in particular has a sloped roof at its highest point, and so there's a safety factor that would be considered there that we wouldn't want to put somebody up on a sloped roof. And so the decision was made to secure the building from inside. Reports from the BBC and other outlets claimed 3 police snipers were stationed inside the AGR building, but a police spokesperson told the New York Times this wasn't true. Instead, local officers were in an adjacent building. According to the Times, local law enforcement agencies confirmed their counter-snipers were positioned on the 2nd floor of another building and had orders to focus on the crowd rather than securing rooftops. Former Secret Service agents have since weighed in, noting that a sloped roof doesn't automatically disqualify a building from being used as a sniper position. In fact, during the shooting, Secret Service snipers occupied another nearby building with an even steeper roof. According to the Washington Post, 86 seconds elapsed between bystanders' initial warnings and the shooting. However, it has emerged that local law enforcement had been aware of Crooks' suspicious behavior long before the incident. Authorities had flagged him as a potential threat before he even ascended the AGR building. Reports indicate officers saw him scouring the grounds with a rangefinder, a clear sign of his intentions. An unnamed US official told NBC News that Crooks had been pacing and acting erratically near the magnitude photometers set up for rally security. His behavior was suspicious enough that local officers began pursuing him on foot, relaying their concerns to the Secret Service. Despite this, former Secret Service agents have questioned why no plainclothes agents were dispatched to handle the potential threat. Some reports suggest agents may have tried to track Crooks, but ultimately lost sight of him before the fatal shooting occurred. CBS News reports that during a congressional briefing, two sources revealed that Secret Service agents first reported seeing Crooks at 5:52 p.m., roughly 19 minutes before the shooting. NBC News added that Pennsylvania State Police were aware of Crooks up to an hour before the attack, but only informed local authorities, who then took 30 minutes to pass the information to the Secret Service. Senator John Barrasso of Wyoming criticized the Secret Service's congressional briefing as a cover-your-ass briefing, pointing out that the shooter's presence and actions were not adequately addressed.
Had a rangefinder, a backpack, and then they lost sight of him and never really followed up on that.
Fox News reported that on Saturday, Crooks's parents informed the police that their son, along with his father's AR-style 5.56 rifle, was missing. Details on the police's response to this report remain undisclosed. Given the advance notice and identified threat, it remains puzzling why Trump was permitted to go on stage. ABC News reports that Secret Service snipers managed to lock onto Crooks just 11 seconds after he fired his first shot and killed him 15 seconds later. While this response may seem swift, every fraction of a second is critical in such tense situations. The effectiveness of their reaction raises questions. According to the Washington Post, retired snipers, including a former Secret Service agent and a former Marine sniper, suggested that the roof's slope and surrounding trees might have obstructed the sniper's view. Jason Lawless, a retired sniper from the Tulsa Police Department, noted that one Northern Team sniper flinched and had to readjust after Crooks fired. The Southern Team, meanwhile, appeared to reposition itself, possibly indicating awareness of the threat. Audio experts, analyzing footage of the incident, identified 10 gunshots. The first 8, fired over a span of 6 seconds, had similar acoustic profiles. Following this burst, 2 additional shots came from different locations, each with distinct sound signatures. This analysis, while not infallible, implies that the security team may have locked onto Crooks about 6 seconds after he began shooting. The dramatic image of Donald Trump with blood on his face and ear, raising his fist after the assassination attempt, is undeniably striking. However, it raises questions about whether agents should have permitted him to expose himself further or retrieve his shoes, which came off during his fall. Should security have intervened to ensure his safety in such a vulnerable moment?
Let me get my shoes on.
Even though Crooks was confirmed neutralized, Secret Service protocol dictates assuming multiple threats. If another shooter had been present on July 13th, former President Trump could have been at significant risk. Richard H., a UK close protection expert and ex-Royal Military Police member, shared his concerns with NBC News, emphasizing the importance of thorough vigilance. The moment you know you are getting incoming rounds, you grab hold onto that boss and you throw him into a car and you get out of there as quickly as you can with the maximum amount of aggression, H continued. They stayed on that stage for over a minute. What on earth were they doing? It was shocking. Jeffrey James, a retired Secret Service veteran with 22 years of experience, told the New York Times that immediate action would have been taken to move the president out of harm's way if he had been on stage. He stated, "We are going, and we are going now. If it's me, I'm buying him a new pair of shoes." According to the Washington Post, local police informed the Secret Service before the Saturday rally that they lacked the resources to monitor the AGR building where Crooks positioned himself. The reason the Secret Service didn't deploy their own resources to cover this gap remains unclear. Jason Russell, a former Secret Service agent, told the BBC, "The Secret Service doesn't have unlimited resources in terms of agents that they can post everywhere." On Today, former Secret Service agent Avi Pompouris described it as follows.
You have to think of the Secret Service like they're the conductor of the orchestra. They create the blueprint and design for the security plan.
Ohio Representative Jim Jordan, in a letter to FBI Director Christopher Wray, proposed that the Secret Service might have been overextended, stating, "Whistleblowers have disclosed to the committee that the U.S. Secret Service did not have proper resources for President Trump's campaign event because of staffing shortages due to the NATO summit and First Lady Jill Biden's event in Pittsburgh." Roll Call reports that financial constraints should not have contributed to any security lapses at the rally. For fiscal year 2024, the Secret Service's budget increased by over 9%, totaling $3.1 billion, nearly $100 million more than President Joe Biden's original request. Specifically, funding for protective operations, which covers daily security for high-profile figures, received a substantial boost of around 24%, amounting to $1.4 billion. The FBI has confirmed that Crooks used an AR-style .556 rifle in his assassination attempt. Such rifles have been involved in high-profile tragedies before, including the 2015 San Bernardino shooting, which resulted in 14 deaths and 22 injuries, and the 2012 Sandy Hook Elementary School massacre, which claimed 20 children and 6 adults. Although the specific model of Crooks' rifle isn't known, a similar model, the Ruger AR .556, features a barrel length of approximately 1.5 feet and an overall length ranging from 2.5 to 3 feet, weighing around 6.5 pounds. This raises concerns about how Crooks managed to transport the rifle into the rally's vicinity. CBS News reports that authorities suspect Crooks may have concealed the weapon beforehand or smuggled it in using his backpack. There's speculation he might have hidden the rifle near an air conditioning unit on the AGR building. A source within the Secret Service informed Fox News that Crooks did indeed conceal the weapon prior to the rally, but the exact location remains uncertain. The source indicated, "We went from golf range finder to AR-15, and now we have to fill in the gap."